Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
The New York State Judiciary Committee holding an executive session today into the impeachment investigation of Governor Andrew Cuomo. Now, this meeting comes just days after the state's Attorney General released the results of an independent investigation. That concluded Governor Cuomo sexually harassed 11 women. The results coming from an independent investigation by two different law firms.
Let me address the report that the Attorney General issued on Tuesday. We commend the Attorney General on her work and her agreement to provide relevant materials to this committee. The findings, the content of the report are deeply disturbing. We will review that report in detail, including the underlying evidence, and consider it together with this committee's own independent investigation.
The governor is maintaining his innocence, saying he has done nothing wrong and will not step down, despite growing calls for him to resign or be impeached. Governor Andrew Cuomo's top aide has also resigned. Melissa DeRosso's resignation came late Sunday. DeRosso served as his secretary, which is the highest-ranking appointed position in the state. The AG report named her several times while detailing a toxic workplace environment where inappropriate behavior was overlooked. DeRosso also came under fire in February for the state underreporting the number of COVID-19 deaths in nursing homes. A budget resolution has been released by Senate Democrats with a hefty price tag of $3.5 trillion. It doesn't include an increase to the debt limit. The summary includes that it will invest in families, climate, healthcare, and infrastructure and jobs. This budget resolution is the first step. It will head to committees to write and start drafting the reconciliation bill. Chemung County will be implementing new mask mandates starting tomorrow. Masks will be required in all county buildings and facilities, regardless of vaccination status. The announcement comes as an increase in COVID cases led the CDC to classify the county as an area with substantial community spread. Chemung County is now one of 48 counties in the state with substantial or significant spread of the virus. The U.S. continuing to see its highest number of daily infections in months. This fourth surge of COVID-19 leading to rising hospitalization rates nationwide. Jonathan Seri has more.
The Delta variant continues to drive a surge of COVID-19 infections across the U.S. We're now averaging around 100,000 new cases per day. Hospitalizations are also on the rise nationwide, but especially down south. Florida's Hospital Association predicts 60% of the state's facilities will face critical staffing shortages by this week. It's a similar situation in Louisiana, where more facilities are running out of critical care beds.
We continue to not yet see any tangible signs that we are turning a corner, and that, quite frankly, is terrifying.
Doctors say a growing number of young patients are coming in with COVID-19 symptoms. Children under 12 remain ineligible for a COVID-19 vaccine, but some health experts warn that may need to change.
We may need to look at whether we can accelerate our timetable towards vaccinating school-age kids, ages 5 to 11.
Meanwhile, CDC data show more than 50% of the total U.S. population is now fully vaccinated, but some 90 million eligible people have not gotten their shots. Dr. Anthony Fauci says he's hopeful the FDA will give full approval to coronavirus vaccines by the end of the month and predicts the move could lead to a wave of vaccine mandates.
Some people on their own, once it gets approved as a full approval, will go ahead and get vaccinated. But for those who do not want, I believe mandates at the local level need to be done.
The Biden administration says it will not mandate vaccines beyond the federal workforce. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
Tonight, there's still an electric feeling in the air in Watkins, Glen. NASCAR driver Kyle Larson may have walked away with the checkered flag this weekend, but all racing fans and businesses feel like winners after welcoming back racing at the Glen. Big Fox News' Matt Kleindienst takes us there.
It is race day 2021 here at Watkins Glen International, and fans have been gathering here at the track since early this week to see their favorite drivers go bowling at the Glen.
Feels great. Feels good to be back.
After 2 long years, a familiar sound returned to Watkins Glen. And with fans in attendance, it was a familiar sight too.
How do you guys feel about being back here in Watkins Glen?
Awesome! It's really getting the fans in the stands, getting the fans to the track. You know, that's a NASCAR race to me.
It's just great to be back to normal and, you know, having an actual NASCAR race to actually sit down and watch in the stands and be able to cheer on your favorite driver.
The event drew thousands of people from in and out of the state. Some of the fans arrived well in advance.
Have you guys been partying here all week?
All week.
Been up here since Thursday.
I've been here since Friday. My crew's been here since Wednesday. They've been having a lot of fun hanging out.
Times were good on Sunday for 3 hours as fans could finally watch their favorite drivers on one of NASCAR's best road courses.
Are you hoping to see win this race?
Chase Elliott.
Kyle Larson.
Kyle Larson or Danny Hamlin!
Matt Kleinden's Big Fox, WYDC in Watkins Glen.
Elmira police are searching for suspects accused of shooting paintballs at residents. According to police, at least 6 people have reported being shot at random by people with paintball guns across the city. Police are looking for a black Chevy Avalanche and a blue Chevy Traverse believed to be involved in the shootings. Anyone with information about the incidents is asked to contact Elmira police. 2 young men were on an overnight fishing and camping trip in the Allegheny State Forest of Pennsylvania when one of them suddenly went into anaphylactic shock. He didn't have his EpiPen on him that could save his life. Andy Sheehan has the story of the frantic rush to save his life and the Good Samaritan who stepped in to help.
They're the best of buds, a bond formed at Central Catholic, cemented by their love of the outdoors and proven on a fishing trip gone awry up the Clarion River.
The day was going great. We were catching a bunch of fish, and we found a place to set up the tent and start a fire.
Trouble began when Chris Duca, who has severe allergies to nuts and other things, topped off dinner with a piece of blueberry cobbler. He suddenly went into anaphylactic shock.
He ate it, and immediately he just started feeling sick and didn't look good either.
Chris's tongue swelled, his throat tightened, and his breaths became shallower and shallower. With cell phones of no use, Austin began paddling furiously back to their car and Chris's EpiPen 16 miles away. But as time became short, Austin began thinking of life-saving measures like performing a tracheotomy.
I would have tried, but I don't know what would have happened, and so I was just praying to God that that didn't happen and we could get somewhere or have someone call 911.
Finally, reaching a boat ramp downstream, the 2 scrambled up a bank and into the woods where they saw a country road and a chance of rescue.
They told me they're in a little tight spot, so I gave them a ride.
Randy Giese, an insurance agent from St. Mary's, PA, happened to be driving by when he saw the 2 flashlights in the dark. He rushed them through the winding and wooded roads back to the car and the EpiPen, then took a partially stabilized Chris Duca to Penn Highlands Elk Hospital, another 20 minutes away. We connected them on Zoom.
The only thing I can say is just thank you. I was really speechless for you taking a chance that night, and there's a chance I might not be here if it wasn't for you, man.
You're very welcome. I think Austin should be the one to get all the credit, though. You know, got you there. Everybody kept their cool. I just gave you a 10-minute bus ride over to the truck, that's all.
The boys have taken some lessons from their near-death experience about friendship and having a restored faith in humanity.
Thankful to be here. Thankful for the people around me, and thankful for, all the good people out in the world that you don't hear about today.
I think there's a higher power out there that was helping us, and I think a learning lesson is he always needs to have his EpiPen on him.
Thick smoke that held down winds and temperatures began to clear Sunday from Northern California as crews worked to contain the Dixie Fire. William LaJeunesse has more from Los Angeles.
Oh, I've been on a couple of big fires, but not this big. This is the biggest.
It is now the single largest wildfire in California history, the Dixie Fire, growing to almost 500,000 acres, or 765 square miles, is only 21% contained. Last week, strong winds pushed the fire through the town of Greenville, destroying hundreds of homes and businesses before thick smoke reduced temperatures and slowed the fire. Now that smoke is clearing, and firefighters are worried improvements over the weekend could be lost when winds return.
The live trees that are out there now have a lower fuel moisture than you would find when you go to a hardware store or to a lumber yard.
Thousands of firefighters secured more than 400 miles of containment lines, but resources are stretched thin. In Greenville, flames destroyed the main fire station downtown. Officials now say folks need to act as their own first responders till more help arrives.
The important thing is that this really severely hampers our efforts to be able to protect and serve.
A new UN climate report says global warming is at least partly to blame, that the rapid and intensifying pace of climate change is making wildfires worse.
Basically, we are increasing climate extremes very significantly and very fast.
It is still not clear what sparked the Dixie Fire, but Pacific Gas and Electric says it may have started when a tree fell on a power line. In Los Angeles, William Lajeunesse, Fox News.
Still ahead tonight, a top U.S. health official says breakthrough COVID-19 infections in people who have been vaccinated can and will happen, but the majority won't get seriously ill or be hospitalized because the vaccines work.
With 164 million people who are vaccinated, we should expect tens of thousands, perhaps, of breakthrough infections.
More on what you need to know if you're vaccinated and get infected.
Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Hi everyone, welcome back. This weather forecast is being brought to you by William Mattar. The heat and humidity and the very uncomfortable conditions are coming back. There is a heat advisory in effect for Tuesday. This heat advisory will last until about 7 o'clock. Now we're talking about it's going to feel like it's in the mid to upper 90s in Elmira, and all of this heat and humidity can definitely cause illnesses. So limit your time outdoors if you possibly can. The dew point numbers are way up. They are in the upper 60s and 70s for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and that's going to make it feel very uncomfortable for you out there. Your forecast highs for Tuesday, we'll see a high of 90, but it'll feel like about 96 in Elmira. 89 for Corning down toward Mansfield, 87, but it'll feel again like it's in the mid to upper 90s. Now there is a chance for a possible shower late in the afternoon for your day on Tuesday. Future radar, it's not picking up any shower activity for us tonight, so we should stay pretty dry tonight. A couple of showers to the north and west of us and just to the south of us, but as we push the clock into motion, you can see tomorrow morning just a very isolated shower. And again, with the humidity and the temperatures going up, we do see the threat for isolated to even scattered showers. Looks like our best chance to see some shower activity is going to be mid-morning or late afternoon. You can see that large area of green moving through by the afternoon, and that area does slink on by. We began to dry out right around 7 o'clock. So a good chance we'll pick up some showers in our forecast for your Tuesday. For tonight, if you've got some plans to step out for dinner, should be fine. We're staying pretty quiet, although it is going to be a warm one for you tonight. Expect partly cloudy skies out there, a little bit of a southeast wind, and a low of only 68 degrees. So again, very warm. Next 3 days will look just like this. An afternoon thunderstorm or shower is very possible. We're looking at temperatures in the 90s for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Again, on Tuesday, a heat advisory is in effect, so it's going to feel more like about 96 out there. Low temperatures are very warm, low 70s and upper 60s. Then as we move through the week, pretty strong thunderstorms will come through for Thursday, as that is going to be associated with the cold front that will move through by Friday. As we head into the weekend, our temperatures will cool back down to normal.
A top U.S. health official says COVID-19 breakthrough infections will happen in people who have been vaccinated, but the majority will not get seriously ill or hospitalized because the vaccines work. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has what you need to know if you're vaccinated and you get infected.
Our vaccines are working exceptionally well.
As the Delta variant surges through unvaccinated populations across the U.S.,
The CDC director says breakthrough infections are possible in those who are vaccinated.
With 164 million people who are vaccinated, we should expect tens of thousands, perhaps, of breakthrough infections.
Dr. Rochelle Walensky also says vaccinated people who get breakthrough infections can transmit the virus, but they're also infected less frequently.
Those breakthrough infections have mild illness. They are staying out of the hospital. They are not dying. And I think that that's the most important thing to understand.
The CDC recommends the fully vaccinated wear a mask in public indoor settings where the spread of COVID-19 is substantial or high, especially if you or a loved one are immunocompromised or at a higher risk for severe disease. The CDC still recommends any fully vaccinated person experiencing COVID-19 symptoms get tested. And if there's a close contact with someone suspected or confirmed to have COVID-19, the fully vaccinated should be tested 3 to 5 days after exposure and wear a mask in public indoor settings for 2 weeks or until a negative test result. If there's a positive COVID-19 test in the prior 10 days, the CDC says to isolate from others. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
As the Delta variant spreads, couples planning weddings are now scrambling to find ways to keep their guests safe. And some are now opting for vaccinated-only weddings. Liz Collin explains.
Much longer than we expected.
Allie Messimer and Kevin Field were engaged in the spring of 2019 with the wedding set for fall of 2020 when the pandemic first changed their plans.
We were ready to go and then pulled the plug in late July and early August.
Allie will now walk down the aisle a year later this October at Aria in Minneapolis, navigating still more left turns.
We really want to ensure that our wedding is fun but also safe.
The couple has updated their website to show their wedding will be a vaccinated-only event. 100 guests will have to show proof for entry. With jobs in healthcare, they believe the majority of their friends and family have already had the shot.
We knew that kind of going into the requirement. There might be a few ancillary people that we might have to have some tough conversations with, but we're willing to do it.
We're all just scrambling.
As owner of Style Architects Weddings, Rochelle Mazumdar says about a third of her clients are now requiring vaccines for both guests and vendors. She's also seen some churches again require masks, still nothing on a large scale. Mazumdar calls it a snowball effect in the industry that will take a couple of more years to sort out, as 2022 wedding dates are already nearly full.
Before, you used to be able to plan a wedding, 6 to 12 months out, and now it feels like it's turning into an 18 to 24 month planning cycle.
Well, Allie and Kevin stay focused on the next 2 months, worried what the days ahead could bring.
Maybe not this quickly. I thought we'd get through the wedding.
Today, Canada is opening its borders to American tourists for the first time since March of 2020, while the CDC is adding 16 countries to its very high COVID-19 risk level. In today's Consumer Watch, Mandy Gaither has more on the dilemma for summer travelers.
Should you stay or should you go? The Delta variant triggering changes in travel restrictions and health measures, making some travelers rethink their upcoming international trips.
There are still lots of hoops to jump through. If you're vaccinated, if you wear a mask indoors and eat outdoors, you can manage your risk and make the best decision for yourself.
Not long after countries in Europe, the UK, and others announced reopening plans and lifted restrictions, some have had to pivot, bringing back testing requirements.
Even if you're vaccinated, you still need to take a test within 3 days of coming back to the U.S. I do know people who have had those tests delayed. God forbid you test positive abroad. Depending on the country, you may even need to go into a mandatory hotel quarantine.
On Monday, Canada reopened its borders, allowing fully vaccinated Americans in for the first time since March 2020.
Canada, they're going to be vigilant about checking those vaccines. You still have to get tested.
This comes as the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention added 16 destinations to its very high COVID-19 risk level, including Greece, Ireland, and the U.S. Virgin Islands.
It's kind of interesting because the CDC has that level 4 warning for a lot of countries that actually are handling COVID a lot better than the U.S.
Meanwhile, a victory for one of the world's largest cruise lines. A judge has ruled Norwegian Cruise Line can require passengers show proof of a COVID-19 vaccination before boarding any of its ships in Florida. The Florida governor's office says they will appeal. For Consumer Watch, I'm Mandy Gaither.
It's like something out of a suspense movie. 3 friends trapped in an elevator that is slowly filling up with water. But it really happened in Nebraska, and it was caught on camera. Jeremy Roth has today's Take a Look at this.
Let me see your best moose impression.
An incredibly tense situation was caught on camera when floodwaters sweeping through Omaha, Nebraska came rushing in on Tony Liu and his 3 friends inside an elevator in his apartment building. Liu said they tried to stay calm, but the waters continued to rise.
Once it got towards kind of my neck, chest, that's when I kind of, I could possibly die in here.
Trapped inside the elevator, they called 911, and Tony called a friend who happened to be a maintenance worker for the building.
I didn't think much. I just ran there. We had to get him out, or it could have been fatal.
Those trapped inside fighting to get out, and Lou's friend trying to pry his way in. 10 minutes later, their efforts paid off, and everyone made it out safely. Okay, how about something a little more relaxing, like a field filled with fragrant flowers. 90,000 beaming sunflowers, to be exact. What started as an agricultural project has become an annual bright spot for visitors of the Auburndale High School Forest in Wisconsin. And now, with the new addition of a wheelchair-accessible bridge, which provides an eye-level, flowery field of view, it's now enjoyable for visitors of all abilities.
It's just a warm, fuzzy feeling.
And finally, visitors to Disney World's newly reopened Hall of Presidents will be greeted by a familiar face, President Joe Biden. The animatronic version of the 46th president debuted at the attraction and features audio recorded by Biden himself and those signature aviator sunglasses. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight, and NASA is looking for healthy, motivated, non-smoking U.S. citizens between the ages of 30 and 55, not unlike typical astronaut candidates, to help simulate a mission to Mars. But these candidates won't be heading to outer space. Instead, the Crew Health and Performance Exploration analog will have 4-person teams living in a 1,700-foot module for a year. And in place of the Red Planet, the Mars Dune Alpha modules will be parked at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. Participants will do science experiments, practice communications with Earth, and even simulate spacewalks. NASA hopes the lessons learned will prepare for the real-life challenges posed by future missions to Mars. Important work. From our whole team, thank you for joining us. We hope you have a great night.